If you wanted to create a system to make people poor and keep them poor, this is the system you would create.
You get a speeding ticket, a wealthy person can go in and pay it, and a poor person cannot. I have heard judges tell people that if you do not come up with the money that you are supposed to pay tonight, I will incarcerate you. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of the law.
I mean, these are basic violations of the Constitution.
That's all they want is money. If you don't pay your fines, you will go to jail.
Are these debtors' prisons? Are these courts? A young man in 2013 hung himself over traffic tickets because he was passed from court to court to court.
That was my baby. You don't outlive your children.
You take away people's lives. Some people fight back.
Debtors' prisons were originally created in the Middle Ages to hold debtors hostage as the ultimate collateral until their families can pay what they owed. They were outlawed in the US in 1833 for being unconstitutional, but now they're seeing a return in a different form. In the South, municipalities strapped for cash have been targeting the most vulnerable citizens, who are primarily Black and living under the poverty line. In Missouri, some of these municipalities generate anywhere from 20 to 40% of their total revenue by fining citizens. Bell Ridge, a small town of 2,700 people, collected almost $500,000 in fines and revenues in 2014 by issuing 7,700 tickets. That's at least 2 tickets for every resident. According to the ACLU, there are 9 states in the country where local governments jail people for failing to pay legal fines. In 2013, the 90 municipalities of St. Louis County, Missouri alone collected $60 million in fines and court fees. Fines range from traffic violations to quality of life ordinances, which fine you for things like sagging pants, chipped paint, mismatched blinds, or even having a barbecue in your front yard. Once you receive a ticket for an offense, you have to go to court to pay the fine. If you can't pay, then you're sent to jail. When you leave jail, you could face probation fees, which only adds to the original debt you were in and couldn't afford to pay to begin with.
We don't worry about no criminals, we worry about the city officials. The city officials are criminals. They took out my money. Nobody will believe this is the way we live in Pagedale.
Valerie Whitner is a Missouri resident making less than $30,000 a year, who has received roughly $1,200 in fines annually for the past 8 years. The city has threatened to bulldoze her home if she doesn't pay all of her citations for illicit barbecues and growing bamboo in her yard.
It's like they go into your bank account and say, I guess I need a couple of more dollars today. Let me go see if I can get Miss Whitner, hit her up for a couple of hundred. Oh, by the way, Miss Whitner, it's a piece of siding up there that needs to be fixed. We gotta cite you for that. Your grass is too high. Pagedale ticket for not having blinds. Pagedale ticket for having blinds. This don't make no sense. I have bamboo in my yard, and they cited me saying I had weed. You trying to sell me? I'm selling all kinds of my property. Now I'm getting ready to get mad because everybody know about my bamboo. He gave me a ticket because he wanted me to paint my garage. Do you see the brick? Who paints them kind of bricks? You're not gonna mess up my bricks. That's the kind of unconditional fear that you live in out here. Something as simple as that, because you know you're gonna get a fine for it. In the 18 years I've been here, I've never had a problem until the last 10 years or so. And that started with simple citations that you might get. Then all of a sudden, it just started getting crazy.
Seemed like the Gestapo. They came to everyone's house looking for things. And all my neighbors were telling me, did they come to your house? Did they come to your house? Did they ticket you? My boss said if I went to court, I would lose my job. So I elected not to go to court and go to work. They came to my house and arrested me for not paying the ticket.
Pagedale has it set up where you don't have a choice. You either gonna give me my money that I'm saying you got this fine on, or we will give you a warrant and you will be arrested. They don't care if you can afford it. They made that perfectly clear that it's not their concern. Their concern is what is owed to the court. It's all about the money. You have got to know the effort that I have put into this place. And if you gonna lock me up because my grass too high, then you go right ahead. Everybody in Pagedale is in court on Thursday. So you don't have to bother go to your neighbor's house to see them. Go to the court. You'll see all your neighbors.
People in the same situation as Valerie line up at the local municipal court to try to pay their fines and seek counsel. Stephanie Loomis is an attorney at ArchCity Defenders, an organization that represents the impoverished trapped in the system.
The line stretches well into the bank parking lot. The people wait out here for a couple hours. This is a cash cow. These courts are created to provide revenue for the town. This system only affects the poor. The poor are the ones lined up night after night outside these courts, and the poor are the ones filling the pews. This isn't like Grand Theft Auto. These are fucking traffic tickets.
We went with Stephanie just a few towns over from Pagedale to Jennings to speak with some of the local defendants outside of the municipal court.
You walking right now is predominantly all Caucasian male officers in there, but everybody who's sitting down is black, everybody. I don't have a criminal history or anything. I get pulled over, they search me like a criminal, pull me out the car. Like, they didn't even give me a reason why they flagged me, so, I mean, but that's normal, you know?
The police out of nowhere pulled me over, and I asked him, why didn't you pull the other car over? He said just because he wanted to pull me over, basically. And the other car did the same exact thing I did, but he was a different color, and I was black. That's what it was, and he didn't want to say it.
They not catching any real criminals, though. That's my thing. Like, you fill in your jails with people who go to work every day, who may have expired plates by a day or two, and those are the people you targeted.
I've been jailed 12 times for not being able to afford my papers.
They're not allowed to incarcerate you for not having money.
But this is the law, they don't care. They still do it anyway.
He just told me basically I'm gonna have to pay the fine or I'm gonna go to jail, basically. These type of prices make you don't even want to come back to court, you know what I'm saying?
They only give you a certain amount of time to pay it before they put another warrant out. And so that's why they lock me up.
Sometimes I just don't have the money to pay a ticket, and they had me stripped to my socks and my drawers and had me put on an orange jumpsuit like I was a murderer or something. I'm almost thinking about moving out of St. Louis, Missouri just because of how the police treat people.
The 90 municipalities of St. Louis County were created after white flight from St. Louis, largely to exclude poor people and minorities. Cities like Ferguson, which is 67% black, are being hit with the most fines and warrants. The average household in Ferguson has 3 warrants for petty violations, and these fines are the second highest source of revenue for the city. Michael Gunn, a St. Louis County Municipal Court judge, issues some of these fines and warrants.
Racism exists. But I got a problem. If you were the mayor and you wanted to make as much money as you could off of these speeders, why would you tell them to only stop poor black people? That sort of doesn't make much sense, does it? In addition, I don't know what evidence there is of racial profiling. I do think that there has only been one side of the story which is being told. And that side is from a perspective of poor defendants. We have a great web of municipalities in St. Louis County who are serving the individual citizens of those particular areas very well. The citizens, for the most part, want these courts to pay for themselves. They don't want to raise taxes to pay for it. They want people who violate the law to pay their fines. So we don't believe that because you're poor means you can violate the law. I make it an inquiry as to whether or not people are able to pay their fines. For the most part, the reply is that they are able to pay their fines. These are people who are guilty, so there's something that's going to happen to them. You know, in order for this system to work, you're going to have to issue warrants.
Thomas Harvey is the executive director of ArchCity Defenders. In 2014, they drew national attention to these new debtors' prisons by publishing a 41-page policy paper explaining the issues and filing countless lawsuits against rogue municipalities.
Municipalities in St. Louis County have never gone through the constitutionally required procedures to determine whether or not someone had the ability to pay before jailing them. And they target poor people and black people and then lock them in jail to extort the money from them and their family in order to meet a budget deficit. The most common charge was called failure to appear. Failure to appear just means you got fined at some point in the past, and the judge threatens the person with jail if they don't come back at the next court appearance with some money. So a reasonable person doesn't walk back into the courtroom if they don't have the money. But then if you don't go back into the courtroom, a warrant is issued for your arrest. I can't overstate how serious it is because people are literally killing themselves in these jails.
Charles Anthony Chapman Jr. was arrested on bench warrants for traffic tickets in 2013. He was passed from jail to jail and ultimately hanged himself with his own bedsheet in Jennings, Missouri. He was only 24 years old.
That's him here holding his sons. And if you look at that picture, he didn't want to let go. He loved his sons. Anthony was an above average student, whatever he did. He wanted to be the best. He had a band of friends. He loved his kids. That's who he was.
That's who he was.
That is the tragedy of all of this. Them boys miss him deeply. I'm Paw, but I cannot substitute for their dad. Right down this strip of highway, that's probably where he first started getting his first traffic tickets. Oh, there they go. This is all they do.
Yep.
It's ticket, 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 ticket. I had a little black Infinity. In the neighborhood we was in, young black men were not supposed to drive Infinities, okay?
It was profiling.
So Anthony had accumulated a lot of traffic tickets. Not nothing serious, running a stop sign. He got pulled over, and that's the day that they arrested my son. This is the last day I seen my son alive. My son went to St. Louis County, was in jail for 5 whole days. They got ready to transfer him out. He told me all the places he had to go to, Belle Ridge, St. John. I got the money and stuff. I went and paid off all those places. And then we found out I was transferring him to Jennings. It was $800. And I tried everything I could, but I had nothing left. He went to Jennings. He wasn't there 12 hours. Something happened inside of him. That following morning, they were knocking on my door. Little did I know that knock on that door that day would be a true kick in my gut. No parent should ever have to go through what we've been through.
I miss his hugs.
You know?
I miss his hugs so much.
Lord have mercy. Lord, always hold his beloved son, baby brother, devoted father, protective uncle, and loyal friend.
We thought we'd have more time.
We just thought we'd have more time. That's me and my son. That's. I got you. People die in here. And it's just not here in St. Louis. This is prevalent everywhere. This justice system that we have is broke. And it ought to be fixed now. It ought to be fixed immediately, and quit putting our kids in the ground and killing them.
I was brought up, you can be anything you set your mind to. I was basically living the American dream. And then I became homeless. I got arrested. At this time, I had no income. I was having a hard time eating, and then I had to come up with these fees for private probation. The only way they make money is if somebody's caught up in the system on probation, and I just got caught in this trap.
In 1991, Georgia became one of the first states in the country to pass a law authorizing private companies to take over probation services. This led to the proliferation of private probation throughout the country. Private probation companies frequently collect debts owed to municipal courts. Since these are for-profit companies, they charge the probationer additional fees like drug tests or electronic monitoring that keep them in debt and on probation for as long as possible.
Early on, I was real ambitious. I got into pharmacy school, I got married. June 13, 2007, I was in a car wreck, and it's not something I'm proud of, but I started taking pills, and I got physically addicted to them, and I had to take them just to physically function. And that's when my marriage, I think, started falling apart. I lost my desire to live, and I became homeless. That happened so quick. You know, I didn't know what to do. And I can remember one day, it was raining, it was cold. I had my big bag with me, and I was standing out in the rain. I had nowhere to go, and I don't want to forget that. I used to sleep right underneath this bridge, right over here. People would be sleeping. They'd get robbed, beat up. A couple of times they got killed. I haven't been here in a while, but it's not really the easiest to get down here. I used to stay right there. There was an old mattress. Between that and mosquitoes, it was kind of hard to get comfortable. When I was homeless, I'd be so tired, I'd be walking, almost being asleep as I'm walking. I continued to drink and continued to stay depressed and just was losing all hope and finding that it was a lot harder to get out of this pit that I found myself in. I was walking to community service one time, and I decided, you know something, I'm getting me a beer. And so I went into this convenience store. I didn't have enough money, so I put one in a bag I was carrying. And I didn't know it, they'd been watching me. And when I got arrested for that, it was 1 year on probation for that. And then I had to come up with these fees. I had no income. I was fully compliant with all the requirements of probation. The only thing I was not able to do was pay the amount of money that Sentinel wanted me to pay. I would go to Sentinel and I would never know each week if I was going to be locked up because of the amount of money I owed. I just got caught in this, what I felt like was a trap.
Sentinel is a private probation company that has been sued over a dozen times for requiring probationers to pay for services not ordered by the court. In Georgia alone, these companies make an estimated $40 million a year from their already poor clients. Sentinel Probation wouldn't return our calls, so we showed up to their offices in Georgia to try to hear their side of the story.
Can't talk to the press. To be hatefully honest,
Yeah?
you really can't be on our property either.
Oh.
We have too many problems with the press.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the private probation companies are making a lot of money, and courts normally use probation officers as their eyes and ears to report to them the facts. But here, when you have a private probation company, they have an incentive not to report the facts because they want to keep somebody paying them fees for being on probation. So they are the winners. Now, who are the losers? The losers are poor people. And if they are poor and get thrown in jail, it's the taxpayers, because we pay the cost of incarcerating someone. It's judicial extortion, and the courts are being utilized by a private, for-profit company that is in the business of making a profit. You should not outsource any part of government that can result in someone losing their liberty or freedom.
Private probation companies create an unfair bias against the probationer. This system can trap financially unstable people, like Thomas Barrett, in a never-ending cycle of payments.
The only way they make money is if somebody's caught up in the system on probation, and the longer they stay on probation, the longer they're in the system, the more money that the sentinel is going to be able to make off that person. It's not justice. The punishment definitely didn't fit the crime. It's almost like it's one strike or you're out.
I'm on probation through Sentinel. That's where the judge assigned me to go because I didn't have the $200 that day. It's a simple misdemeanor. They threaten you that if you don't show up and have this amount of money, you're going to jail today. It's a constant threat and stress. I feel like they're extorting me. For any and every dime they can get out of me, sucking me dry.
So I'm at Sentinel probation for not being able to afford my traffic ticket. They know that I'm a student and I don't have the funds. They basically told me that it's not their problem, that I would have to just come up with it with some kind of way. So my fines have accumulated. I've already paid $420-something in fines. So now I owe them like $1,000 compared to the $260 that my original fine was. So I don't think it's fair at all.
They don't care about you, they care about the money. I'm sitting in jail basically because I couldn't afford my traffic tickets. Them having this privately owned business set up, it's cost people their lives, their jobs, their homes, their families. It's cost them a lot of things.
In Alabama, the Southern Poverty Law Center, or SPLC, is fighting to stop these practices. A judge in Marion, Alabama, brought a mobile blood truck to the courthouse and told defendants that if they could not pay, they would have to give blood or go to jail.
There's a blood drive outside. If you're not having the money and not want to go to jail, as an option to pay it, you can give blood today. Or the sheriff has enough handcuffs for those who do not have money.
The judge was ultimately censured after the SPLC filed a judicial ethics complaint against him. Samuel Brooke at the SPLC filed lawsuits against the private probation companies in Alabama, effectively ending the practice in the state.
The private probation companies really are operating in what's essentially nothing more than an extortion racket. It literally becomes incredibly expensive to be poor in this country. And that's certainly what we have been seeing and what we're alleging in a lawsuit against this company, against Judicial Corrections Services, alleging that this is fundamentally extortion and that this is a racketeering enterprise. The RICO statute, the same statute that we normally think of as going after the mob, is really fundamentally saying you're engaging in extortative activity on a regular, recurring basis. That's exactly what we allege is happening here. Within about 9 months, as municipalities learned about these allegations and what was happening, they parted ways with the company and said they were no longer interested, and they pulled out of the state. Go talk to your city council and hold them accountable for what's happening in your town. It's ultimately those elected officials who are going to put a stop to this, but they're only going to put a stop to it if the members of the community are making their voices heard to say, this isn't what we want our town, our police department, our judge to be doing.
As long as private probation exists in states like Georgia, there will be people like Thomas Barrett doing whatever they can to make their payments.
I started looking around for something I could do for money, but I kept getting locked up, and so I wasn't even able to get any kind of momentum going there, any confidence that I could get a job. The only way I can make money to pay for probation is to sell my plasma. I found out I could sell my plasma. I could do it twice a week, where I could make $200 to $220 a month. I can throw that at the monitor, and then maybe I can get a job and make up the extra money. I go there, and it takes 3 to 4 hours a day. I mean, here I got nothing. All I had was my plasma to get money. Selling plasma is like, wasn't a high point in my life, you know.
After giving plasma, feel wiped out, drained. Have to drink a lot of fluids afterwards.
You leave the town.
That's right.
You get to a point where you just don't see any way out.
If you
fail to appear on a bail bond, the bail insurance industry is going to find you. And we are going to put you back. We take what we do very seriously.
The bail bond industry is a very profitable industry. Bail isn't set based upon one's ability to pay.
They talking $500,000, $1 million. Like, who got that type of money?
What we're seeing is an enormous transfer of wealth, of billions of dollars a year, from the poorest people in our society to some of the richest people in our society, the insurance companies that are underwriting the bail bond industry. If there are two people who are arrested in a drug interaction and they come down to the police station and one of them has $300 and the other one doesn't, it's unconstitutional to cage the person who doesn't have that money, but to let the other person go just because she has money in her pocket.
There are no other nations except the Philippines allowing bail bondsmen. They're not allowed anywhere else in the Western world.
The man got you? Don't worry. Call East Coast Bail Bonds. 1% down, easy payment to $25 a week. East Coast Bail Bonds serves the entire Maryland region.
Bail bonds. How much money you guys working with? That's fine, I'll get her out and you owe me a couple bucks. I finance people's freedom. You call us, I'll say, how much your bail? Say 10,000. Okay, how much money you have? Well, I got money in the bank. Okay, who's gonna sign for you? The signer's a person who's gonna say that you're gonna appear in court. First off, when you bail out, you have to come in here. You have to do your paperwork. We call you for your court date. Some people are high risk. We make them check in every week. Because if you don't go to court, it's a potential for us to lose all that money. We catch a lot of people on Facebook. You get a good-looking girl on that Facebook and every guy's biting. Women has brought down countries. We were the first ones to come up with a payment plan. This is your payments, this is how many payments, monthly, this, and this. I got people pay $10 a week.
Try and get her to give us a call, because she does have 3 accounts with us.
And then these girls here,
was on October
all they do is call people
2013.
day and night. And tell them that they owe us money. I met people that did very well off of like $25 million a year. I do $25 million in 2 months sometimes. The new B shirts, they're loading in a truck now. And this is nothing. This is probably 4,000 shirts. Everybody knows Vinny does the shirts. Vinny does all the marketing stuff like that. I sponsor everything. My goal was to build a brand. When you come to Maryland, you think East Coast.
Thank you. East Coast, y'all. East Coast Bails Bond.
We love people that come to the hood. A lot of guys just go in the phone books and do that bullshit. There's so many bail bondsmen down here, but you brand yourself. You got to go out and attack the business and get the business.
Are you ready for this bikini contest? East Coast Bail Bonds in the house.
Why can't I have every single bail? Why not? That wrong? You know, a guy fucking in a rich and says, oh, well, I don't want all the money, I just want some of the money. That's bullshit. I want all the bails. If I can't get all the bails, I'll settle for what I can get. But I don't like to settle, I want them all.
Riverwatch, make some noise one more time. East Coast Bail Bonds for putting this together each and every week.
We're on North and Fulton. Ask any police officer. This is considered one of the most dangerous corners in the city of Baltimore. So why not put an officer on it? When the riots went down, we came down and gave out shirts.
I'm looking at that they're distributing East Coast Bail Bond t-shirts. And I don't think that could happen in other neighborhoods.
Rocking y'all since 96.
To me, I think it sends the wrong message. I bleed Baltimore. That could have a negative connotation about it, especially with the high murder rate that we have. But I guess as long as you feel as though that you're getting something free for nothing, and you're not. The propaganda that they're putting out with these t-shirts, all you're doing is continuing to help demoralize your community.
Job, have no idea what the hell is going on out here in the hood.
If you have a baby and you ain't got no job, tell me what you gonna do. You gonna sling drugs. Okay, then the police come get your ass. Then the bail bomber, here you come when you get caught all up.
Every 4 years, there's elections. And you have to go through this whole education process all over again with a lot of the committees. Up until now, we've been able to get our point of view across in an honest way. So we've been able to stay in business in Maryland.
You got people that want to do away with the bail bond business that have no idea what the bail bond business is. We bail people out. Yes, we make money from it. We put them back in jail if they don't go to jail. Study it. Show me, somebody come tell me why they should do away with bail bondsmen.
Alan was in the house, and a couple of his buddies came up and was like, yo, let's go downtown. They zapping out down there.
Now the governor has declared a state of emergency.
We see protesters there scuffling with police.
That night, the news came on. We seen him on top of the car acting crazy. He was like, oh, Lord, I think I might need a lawyer. So we laughed it off. I'm like, Alan, you broke a car window. They're not going to make nothing out of that. My son took it on his own and turned himself in. When he called me back the next day, he said, Ma, guess what? I said, what? He said, my bill, $500,000, $500,000. I said, boy, stop lying. What's your bill? He said, Ma, I'm not lying. I just dropped the phone. And I just started screaming. My son want to kill himself. That's how bad it is.
Alan Bullock's case, an individual caught on film destroying property, was given a bail much higher than even the police officers that were charged with the death of Freddie Gray. The pretrial bail industry is set up so that one has to put up security, whether it's cash or whether it's going to a bondsman and paying them a premium. But when you have to pay a bondsman 10% and you never get that money back, then people are literally paying tens of thousands of dollars just to get their loved ones out of jail. And there's no guarantee that those cases are even going to go to trial. Bail isn't set based upon one's ability to pay. There are no standardization. Each judge determines bail on their own. Those with means get out and prepare for trial, and those that are poor sit. And they sit in cages. They sit in decrepit conditions for the most part. The average time is about 7 or 8 months in the state of Maryland where you sit prior to trial. And that puts enormous pressure once the case comes up for trial for someone to plead guilty just to get out of jail.
Most guys can't afford their bail. They talking $500,000, $1 million. Like, who got that type of money? Your life on the line both ways. So you trying your hardest to get out, but the money ain't gonna get you out, so you gotta take the plea. And I mean, even if you ain't guilty, you just trying to get out of there.
Pretrial detention has a disparate effect on minorities, on communities of color. On the day of Freddie Gray's funeral, over 400 folks were arrested, 263 people were detained. Most of them without even charges being brought against them. They were just swept up in neighborhoods and brought to the detention center.
The night of the ride, we were sitting on North and Fulton where my cousin lived. Police and all that coming through. I told them I was going home. I was on the way to get to my kids and my girl. So they said no. Well, they arrested me, threw me in the back of the paddy wagon, took me down Central Booking. I didn't know what I was charged with at first. My bail was set to $250,000. And all the police got locked up. I'm like, dang, they locked up for manslaughter. Why is their bail the same as mine? And mine is a petty charge. My girl was left with the 2 kids and she had a job, and a lot of financial stuff got messed up because she had nobody there to help her. Like, everything just went downhill when I got locked up, everything.
The thing that strikes me about Dominic's case is it exemplifies the problems with the bail system. He was given an exorbitant bail, something that I'd see normally in an extremely violent case, usually a felony case. His case ended up being dismissed by the state after he spent over a month in jail, on a bail that he couldn't make.
We have 500,000 human beings in a cage on any given night in this country solely because they can't afford to make a payment to get out. And we've so lost sense of how brutal a thing it is to do to a human being, to cage them. For a long time, we were not in our society treating this issue as the emergency that it is. And the key is to understand why, and I think it's because when you do something so often, I think it's human nature to become desensitized to it. The 14th Amendment prohibits treating people differently. So if there are two people who are arrested, let's say in a drug interaction, and they come down to the police station and one of them has $300 and the other one doesn't, it's unconstitutional to cage the person who doesn't have that money, but to let the other person go just because she has money in her pocket. The fundamental principle in our legal system is you can't jail a poor person when in the same circumstances a rich person will be set free. I decided to apply these 14th Amendment arguments to our bail cases. This year, we've filed 7 class action lawsuits challenging the American system of money bail. The first 6 cities have all agreed to get rid of the use of secured money bail for misdemeanor arrestees. One of the exciting things about this topic is that for so long, things have been happening that are so illegal that now that attention is being paid to them and light is being shed on what's been going on in these courts and jails all around the country, we're starting to see some change.
There are no other nations except the Philippines and the United States who have made such poor decisions about allowing bail bondsmen. They're not allowed anywhere else in the Western world.
Bondsmen are legal in Washington, but we don't have any bondsmen and haven't had them for a long time.
Here in Washington, D.C., of the people coming in through lockup, a good 85 to 90% are going to appear in front of the judge. They'll end up being unshackled, handcuffs removed, and walking out the door of the courthouse because money is not used here. People are not remanded back to the jail in order to wait until a bail bond is, posted on their behalf. I'm Cliff Keenan. I'm the director of the Pretrial Services Agency for the District of Columbia. We believe our system is more effective than the money bail system. In fact, today, our jail is probably at 45% of its capacity because we're not seeing people being detained because they don't have the ability to put up money bail that's been imposed by a judge. In other jurisdictions, the judge is not looking at the individual risk factors associated with the person, they're only looking at the charge. Here, our risk assessment provides a whole wealth of information about which conditions, if any, need to be applied.
A day, we're processing anyone from a minor charge of simple assault all the way to murder. And we are a 24-hour operation, so as soon as the arrest begins, our work begins. Once he gets here from the police district, we begin interviewing the defendant. Take that information along with his criminal history, and we create what we call the bail report. And that recommendation is the key. I think here at pretrial, we really firmly believe that we can effectively supervise people in the community without using money.
For the most part, persons who are charged with low-level felonies and most misdemeanors, unless they have a serious criminal record, are going to be released on some conditions, all the way up to our high-intensity supervision program, which requires placement of a GPS bracelet on them, where we can monitor a curfew or stay-away conditions as ordered by the judge.
Pretrial Services provides to me a report, and in that report are the individual's ties to the community. Criminal history is included. Medical history is included. Mental health related history is included. All of those things taken together make it a lot easier for me to decide what to do. We have programs that allow for judges to place individuals into the community, but with further conditions. Another release modem, if you will.
My name is Eugene Isaac. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm an ex-offender, returned citizen. I ended up down in drug court. It was a felony. Went out there and tried to sell some drugs to undercover police officer and to support my habit. I went in front of the judge, and by my record, I haven't had a charge in almost 20-some years. I got out on personal recognizance. Told my caseworker, I said, I just need a chance. I need an opportunity, you know? And for some reason, she believed in me. She was able to get me into detox at Providence Hospital in August the 7th of '09. That was my last time I had a drink or a drug. You know, I knew this was the end for me to turn my life around. My daughters really, you know, they was really separate from me. I wasn't really a father to them, you know, because I was so caught up into the drug thing. But now we got an awesome relationship. And to this day, me and my daughters, we made a pact that we have nothing that's going to break us apart. If it's something we have a problem with each other, we're going to have to go out and talk about it. As long as I stay alcohol and drug-free, my kids will be in my life, you know, and I won't give that up for nothing in the world. This is something I always wanted.
One obstacle to any kind of reform in the system is just inertia. We have this irrational view that the way to lead to less crime is to cage people who we think committed those crimes. There's no evidence to support it, and yet it's the foundational premise of our criminal legal system.
It is an outrageous case of justice derailed. How could it take 3 years for prosecutors in the Bronx DA's office to figure out they didn't have a case while a teenager sat in jail on Rikers?
You made a decision that you were going to fight this.
That's correct.
How'd you come to that conclusion?
Because I didn't feel comfortable saying I did it. If I just cop out and say that I did it, nothing's gonna be done about it. I didn't do it, no justice is served, nobody hears nothing at all. I felt like I had to fight. I had to fight.
Kalief Browder case was a tragedy. A lot of people have become aware of the problem now because of a high-profile case like that, but the need for reform has been there for a long, long time. And in a case where it's $1,000 or less of a bail, only about 18% of people are able to make that bail. My legislation would do away with bail entirely. It would not even be an option in court anymore. Judges would have 3 new options. They could propose a conditional release, they could release someone on their own recognizance, or in the most serious cases, can remand them to jail. And that would follow after a recommendation from a pretrial services agency that would be established.
We're portrayed as these evil bail bondsmen that make money, and senators make money, judges make money. Everybody has to feed their families. I pay every single tax dollar my accountant tells me to pay. I pay every single one of them.
Does your grandson have a criminal defense attorney?
You know, I always say with our business, with Empire, it's like the state might be able to come in here. They're not going to find fugazi crap. They're not going to find corruption. They're not going to find all kinds of hullabaloo. My name is Michelle Eskenazi. I'm the CEO at Empire Bail Bonds. I'm also the CEO at Empire Bonding and Insurance Co., which is our family-owned bail insurance company.
Hey.
Did you go to court today?
Yeah.
You look like you went to court today. You are fabulous. How's your case going? The reason that I think that the government seeks to move to a system of pretrial release is because there's a financial motivation in it. I mean, they see that there's money on this side of the coin, if you will.
What's your number? That's for real?
Yeah, why? Do we seem like we're not for real? If the taxpayers in New York City could possibly have their choice, I guarantee you they would choose parks and streets and helping the homeless rather than funding pretrial release services. Just relax, man. This ain't Rikers Island. Calm down.
Well, the argument that doing away with bail would be more expensive is completely facetious because, yes, the bail bondsman may not cost the taxpayers any money, but keeping someone in jail costs the taxpayers a tremendous amount of money. In New York alone, it's over $1 billion a year. The bail bondsmen are not getting paid by the government while they're out there making sure that someone shows up. But that doesn't account for the thousands and thousands of people that are in jail every day awaiting trial who shouldn't be.
One of the things that New York City really didn't put their heads together and think about is low-level offenders. So you're releasing people on misdemeanors and violations, and now they fail to appear. Who's going to pick them up? There is no answer. This gentleman here is the best bail enforcement agent, period. What I always say about him is if you're running from him, you better keep running. He will devote the rest of his God-given life to finding you.
Hold your dog! Hold your dog! He's gonna get shot right in the fucking head! Hold your dog! Hold your dog! Hold your dog! We're gonna knock the door down!
Hold your fucking dog before I shoot him!
The notion of money bail, might have made sense several hundred years ago when someone could flee on horseback to a different jurisdiction and you needed to incentivize someone to go down and get them and bring them back and then reward them for it. Most people charged with crimes now in our legal system are impoverished people who've never left the geographic area in which they are alleged to have committed a crime.
Come on, Chris. Let's go. Kick it in. Kick it out. There you go. Go out this way. You got shoes in there, bro? What happened? All right, well, tell your brother to bring you some shoes. You want to go to jail like that. Well, put your shoes, turn around, put your shoes on.
This is not about making money or losing money. This is about people losing their freedom, losing their liberty, and spending time in jail when they have not been convicted of a crime. When that's happening, something is dreadfully wrong, and we need to change it no matter the cost. We shouldn't be afraid to make reforms and to make things better because of an industry concern in this case.
We are a unique insurance policy because we are not insuring a vehicle. We are insuring human behavior. So we're involved in that human behavior with the circle of love.
Do you know who signed for you? Do you know there's people that actually give a fuck about you that signed for you $15,000 worth? Does that even occur to you?
Yeah, and I'm not
You didn't you're full of shit. Okay, don't fucking lie to me. Because you're full of shit, okay? Because you didn't come in here the next fucking day and try to clear up your warrant. Like every other fucking asshole. You didn't come in here and try to clear up your fucking warrant, did you?
No, I was gonna go to that.
Because you don't give a shit about your family, isn't that right? You're full of shit.
I went to court.
I'm gonna make sure the judge doesn't set bail on your risky ass. I hope you bend over for the soap when you get in there. Give him a fucking shirt, okay?
I was there, man. I messed up.
Right. I know you messed up.
I'm not trying
You're very good at that.
I missed the court.
No.
The wrong court. They changed the court.
Why did you get arrested? Because you're an upstanding citizen?
No. I had a drug problem before I went in there.
Oh, okay. Buena suerte, man.
I'm worried that if we don't address these issues now, in this moment where people are finally paying attention, we'll never do it. If somehow we lose that outrage and we go back to being the society of indifference and inertia in these areas, the policies of the last 3 or 4 decades that have wrought so much devastation in impoverished communities will be made a permanent feature of American society.
The bail bonding industry, which I get very tired of talking about, they aren't really the issue. Money is the issue. Once you do away with money, the bondsmen go away. Money pervades the justice system. Money pervades America.
You're gonna have all these people that are gonna be running around with warrants, and then they're gonna say, we need more government money, i.e. taxpayer money, to pay for to lock these people up when you didn't have to do it in the first place. If somebody shows me that it's more economical and it's smarter, then I guess I'll find something else to do. Maybe I'll fucking make pizzas. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll ride a dirt bike and become a 12 o'clock boy.